Hello, everyone. This is Ritu Shweta Kochar. And once again, I have come up with a study session from Torkom Saraydarian's teachings from the book Teachings of Great Ones. And the topic for today is Master Tibetan's teachings about Antakharna. And who is this Master Tibetan? That is the famous Master Dhajwal Khul, Master DK. We all know a world teacher. And these are the teachings which Torkom is sharing. So this session is divided into two parts. I will be sharing uh, the details about how Master DK transferred the teachings to Alice Bailey. And in the second session, we will be discussing about Antakharna. And this session, all the sessions of Torkums, which I am covering, they are word to word reading from the book. When we say the Tibetan, we are referring to a sage who is still living. He is maybe over 100 years old and was the dean of a great lamasery. He had approximately 6 to 8,000 student monks. He was teaching a very advanced teaching to them near Shigatse in Tibet. In 1920, he came in contact with Alice Bailey. She was sitting in a field studying from some books when she heard the voice of this great sage. He said to her, Alice, you are going to work with me to write a few books. She was very surprised and shocked and said, I don't want anything to do with psychic things. Well, these are not psychic things, he said. Who are you? She asked. He replied, You think about it for a few days. After you think about it, and if you decide to work with me, you will know who I am. 2 weeks passed, and Alice said, Maybe I will give a chance to this man and see who he is. He told her that his name was Dhajwal Kul, which means the great servant. He said, You are going to start taking dictation from me telepathically. You will hear my voice, and sometimes I will show you diagrams. Let us see what will happen. He asked that Alice Bailey awaken at 4 a.m. daily and work with him for 4 hours. In that 4 hours, she would take maybe 30 pages of handwritten dictation. I have seen her beautiful handwriting. She used special pencils, one of which she sent to me. That means she sent that pencil to Torkom while I lived in the Middle East. They were very soft pencils which prevented her from getting too tired. The first book they wrote was Initiation Human and Solar. In the meantime, he gave her very advanced meditation techniques to prepare her mind for higher receptions. That book was Letters on Occult Meditation. She was also doing advanced meditation at the same time, many of which are not in the book. They had to remove them because they were very high level and dangerous to publish them at that time. The Tibetan master said she did very well. His English was Tibetan English. She translated it very beautifully and made it into pure educated English. She was highly educated. She eventually became so advanced in receiving the messages from the Tibetan master that he stopped talking to her, and through pure telepathy, they contacted each other. In telepathic contact, you do not hear voices. but the sentences and paragraphs are impressed in your mind as if you were hearing them. If you have such an experience, you will see that your teacher or an advanced initiate talks to the center of your mind and you hear it. But it is not a regular voice. It is a different kind of voice. When you transcend that stage of hearing voices you do not hear at all, you are impressed. The ideas are impressed sequentially and very clearly. You do not have a chance to make a mistake. For 30 years, the Tibetan master dictated to Alice Bailey. Imagine getting up every day at 4 a.m. and writing. She did this systematically. She was very orderly and under discipline. He then revealed to her that she was not his disciple. She was the disciple of a greater one whose name is Kuthumi. The Tibetan master told her that when the time came, she would take her place in the ashram. We now think that she is in the secondary ashram and that she is replacing the Tibetan master while he does higher work. This is the sequence of hierarchical work. You must always try to create conditions in which someone who is trustworthy, beautiful, and who stands for the same principles as you do is able to replace you. In those 30 years, the Tibetan master gave the most beautiful teaching. Before I met the teaching, I belonged to many open as well as secret organizations. I never found a teaching that was as synthesized and organized in such a beautiful way as the teaching that Alice Bailey recorded from the Tibetan. There are 8 very important things or principles that the Tibetan master gave. Every age, the teachers give a slightly more advanced teaching. It is as if we are in a school. We graduate 1 year and the next year we receive a higher teaching. The next year we receive a yet higher teaching, and so on. Those who are really graduating through their striving, their service, their dedication, honesty, and beauty take initiated teachings that I will talk about later. The seeds of the 8 topics that the Master Tibetan emphasized and are emphasized in the book The Secret Doctrine by Blavatsky in Vishnu Puran and in the Bhagavad Gita and in all religions. He took these seeds and made them bloom into great fields of flowers. One of the topics emphasized is the 7 rays. Before contacting the Alice Bailey teaching, I searched for information about the 7 rays in many teachings, such as Vishnu Prana, The Secret Doctrine, and many Sanskrit works, but very little was written. The first book that was published about the 7 rays was by Ernest Wood. The Tibetan master gave Mr. Wood the information for this initial book, but it is very elementary and incomplete. It also contains a few mistakes. When Alice Bailey was ready to receive this information, the Tibetan master gave information about the 7 rays in 5 volumes. Each volume contains 600 to 700 pages with an approximate total of 3,500 pages of a very beautiful teaching about the 7 rays. He said in the future, this teaching will be the real psychology of the new world. Many little schools have been formed and now teaching about the seven rays. Their teachings about this subject are not yet very developed, but it is a start, and many, many thousands of people are interested. Psychologists, psychiatrists, and physicians are especially interested. I know of at least 50 psychiatrists who are deeply studying this subject. By studying the principles of the seven rays, they are able to see the depths of the human constitution and psychology. The first two volumes, Esoteric Psychology, Volume 1 and 2, contain a very deep teaching about the psychology of the seven rays. But the amazing and beautiful aspect of the seven rays teaching is that the Tibetan master did not limit his writings to human individual psychology. He considered the group, national, global, and solar psychology as well. One day, a psychiatrist asked Torkom, "What is great about the seven rays teaching?" Torkom replied, "Even if the whole seven rays teaching is a hallucination, it expands your consciousness in such a way that you become a better and more conscious human being." He said, "I like that definition." He started reading and expanding his consciousness and became hooked to such a degree that he is now a seven rays doctor. You cannot find this very unique teaching on the seven rays anywhere in the world but in the Tibetan master's writing. The third volume is Esoteric Astrology. I have read at least 200 books about astrology. In the monasteries, I ate them. I have several hundred pages of notes about astrology, but I did not understand anything about it. Something was missing. When I found esoteric astrology, all of the puzzle pieces fit together. This book is the esoteric astrology of cosmos. It is not related to human actions, such as who you are going to marry, what business you will do tomorrow, is your boyfriend loving or leaving you, and so on. Esoteric astrology is about the science of energies. This book is a unique contribution from the Tibetan master. After reading it, I understood why there is astrology. Is astrology nonsense? Of course, the astrology that we see in the marketplace is nonsense. But when you read the true esoteric astrology, you can understand the source and science of it, as well as its practical applications. In a treatise on cosmic fire, the Tibetan master also gave deeper meanings of esoteric astrology, and eventually you will learn these deeper meanings. You need time and brain intellect to study this subject. It is not for chickens, it is very deep material. The fourth volume is Esoteric Healing. The fifth volume is The Rays and the Initiations, the teaching about initiations. I was initiated many times into various advanced secret groups and temples and teachings. But what I experienced was nothing compared to what initiation really is, as he wrote in this volume. A treatise on cosmic fire is an explanation of the secret doctrine. The Tibetan master made a remark to Alice Bailey, "I gave this cosmic fire to you. It is mystical, religious, and philosophical. I was intending to give you cosmic fire scientifically from the scientific viewpoint, but because you are not ready for this aspect of this teaching, We will postpone it for a few hundred years. He could not find any scientist who could absorb that teaching, so he did not give it. We lost something very great. Then followed a treatise on white magic book on the training and control of the astral body. The next volume is Telepathy and the Etheric Vehicle, is about the etheric body and the senses. It discusses the seven senses in the seven planes. It also explains what the etheric body is and the relation it has with the etheric body of the planet, the solar system, and cosmos. There is much more on these topics in Alice Bailey's other books. Telepathy and the Etheric Vehicle also contains an advanced teaching about telepathy. Before reading about telepathy in the Tibetan master's book, I read 10 or 15 books about the subject, all of which were very childish and distorted. When reading these other books, your heart, your intuition says, this is not true. This is not the teaching. When I discovered his teaching, I said, this is what I have been searching for. When I was living in Jordan, I bought all of the Tibetan master's books and put them on the shelf, even though at the time I did not know much English. I learned by translating passages from the Secret Doctrine and the Tibetan master's books, in particular, Alice Bailey's book From Bethlehem to Calvary into Armenian. As I translated them, I started to learn English. This was how I overcame my lack of knowledge of English. I wanted to learn this teaching for the sake of the teaching. Esoteric Healing is the fourth volume in the Treatise of the Seven Rays series. Sometimes when I feel discouraged, I say, I must read this book again. And when I open it, it seems like new, to the degree that you can read these books. Do not waste your time. When I go to my library, I see Blavatsky, Alice Bailey, and Master Mora's Agni Yoga books. And I want to cry because I have not finished them. I have read all of them, of course, but reading them 2 or 3 times is nothing. Save your time and give it to these magnificent teachings before you pass away. There is the most advanced teaching about Antakharna in esoteric healing. There was almost nothing in all recorded writings of all races about the golden bridge, the Antakharna. There were only a few hints here and there. If you compile all that Blavatsky wrote about the Antakharna, it will fill one page. The Tibetan master gave approximately 500 pages about the Antakharna. His is the most advanced teaching about this subject at this time, and Torkom has spoken about it, which we will study in the next session. So I will repeat the names of the books. You can buy them, you can order for them, and for sure they can help you. So the books, the first book, Alice Bailey wrote with Master DK's guidance is Initiation, Human and Solar. The second book, Letters on Occult Meditation. And then Torkom has mentioned about The Secret Doctrine by H.P. Blavatsky. And then Torkom is talking about 7 rays in the books, which I will name them. Esoteric Psychology, Volume 1 and 2. Then is Esoteric Astrology, Third is Treatise on Cosmic Fire. The fourth volume is Esoteric Healing. The fifth volume is The Rays and the Initiations. And then followed by a treatise on white magic. Then is Telepathy and the Etheric Vehicle. So you can order these books. And also Torkom has mentioned that make the best use of this life, read these books, and just don't waste your time here and there. Thank you for being a part of the session. Hope it is of help. And we will discuss about Antakharna in the next session. Bye-bye for now.